Hi, it's Amanda the Nail Polish Hound, and this is my makeup collection. Do let me know in the comments below if you think this is a normal amount of makeup. I think it's kind of medium, but let's see. I'm going to start off with my eyeshadow palettes, and the ones that I've got more than one of from a brand I've put together by brand. First of all, we have Urban Decay, and the first one I have is the Born to Run palette, and I think this is a really pretty colour combination and one that I'm going to wear a lot. Only just purchased this palette and haven't really used it much yet, but I think it's one that I am going to get a lot of use out of. Then we have Naked 3, and this is one that I have two of. This is my original palette, which has had some use, but I was really liking the shade Nuna and couldn't find it again as a single. So when I saw Sophie Alexander was destashing her one of these palettes, I asked if I could purchase it because she'd not used that shade at all. And had used some of the ones I was less likely to use, so I put my new palette away and started using this one, and I used this palette predominantly last year. Then I have Wild West, and I just love the colour story in this one. A bit more unusual, something I wouldn't wear during the week probably, but I do love the pops of colour in this one. So that's all my Urban Decay palettes, and then I have three from Anastasia Beverly Hills. And the first one is the Modern Renaissance palette. If you've been watching my Pan That palette this year, you'll know that I am trying to use this one up. It was the first ever non-drugstore palette that I bought, and it was the oldest of those in my collection, so I decided to try and use this one up. Then we have Navina, and this one is brand new. I've not used this one at all, not even swatched it, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. And then I bought the Soft Glam 2 palette in the little one. Didn't realise quite how small they were, to be honest, but these were the shades I liked the most out of this palette, so I thought this was a better buy than the full-sized one. Then we're looking at my Too Faced palettes. I have two of them, and both of these were bought in Destashes. I haven't owned them from new, but this is the Chocolate Bar palette, and it is completely unused. I love the colour story in this one. I think it's going to make a beautiful daily palette. I'm looking forward to giving this one a try. Then we have the Chocolate Gold, and unfortunately this is what it looked like when it arrived in the post. The black had completely broken up and got all over the rest of the palette. There were some others that were broken as well. So this was my first attempt at trying to repair a palette. And it kind of went okay. The green and the purple I managed to just kind of push back into place because these are quite creamy shadows, or at least the shimmers are. And then I had to try and repress Rollin' in Dough and Decadent. Rollin' in Dough, I'm not sure how successful that's been. I just couldn't get all of the black out of it, but we'll see. I haven't used it yet. Hopefully it will still work okay. The next ones I have are from Barry M, and their makeup is of reasonable quality for the price point. The first one is the Nude and Neutral, and I bought this one when I was trying to find a substitute for Nuna, and I think Dreamer is relatively close in colour, but it's a nice neutral palette, and I have taken this one on holidays and used it like that before. And then we have one of the Wildlife palettes by Barry M, and these ones had some beautiful but more unusual colours in them. They did give some money to the David Shepherd Wildlife Foundation for each palette that was sold, and I just love the colours and the names in this palette. Used it a little bit, not very much, but it is one that I enjoy using. Moving on to Essence, I have three palettes from them, and again I think that the quality of these is pretty good for the price point. The first one I have is the Ola Rio palette. Quite a nice neutral colour story for this one. This is lovely as an everyday palette with just that pop of purple in it as well, which I do love to use in my outer corner. Then we have Hello New York, which is a much cooler palette. I've used this one a little bit, and I particularly like that iridescent blue colour in the bottom right hand corner. Very unusual. A lovely cool palette in total, colours that I don't really have elsewhere. And the last one is the Crystal Powder palette. I have left the film over the top of this one to stop the shadows getting everywhere. We've got a lot of pressed glitters in this one, which I'm only just getting to know how to use properly. Using a brush, I found them really difficult to pick up, but if you use one of those old-fashioned foam applicators, it seems to work quite a bit better. And because I have quite long nails, I don't really like using my fingers. So we've got some nice colours in here, and particularly like the green in the top right hand corner of this palette. Moving on to the palettes, I only have one from the brand. First of all, we have this Milani palette. It is a very basic eyeshadow palette that can give you a smoky eye look. As the name of the palette suggests, everyday eyes, and I've used this one quite a bit. Pretty sure I picked this one up because I saw it on Kelly Marissa's channel. Next we have the Smoky palette by CoverGirl, and this, as the name suggests, is a smoky eye look. Not something I do very often, but it's nice to have these colours in my eyeshadow collection. Then we have this tiny eyeshadow palette by Boots. It's called the Big Smoke. It's got a lot of different types of powders and primer and all sorts in here. Again, it's a nice one to take on holiday, and it's so small. It's good for that reason as well. Maybe I'll pan this one day because I think it would be really easy to use these eyeshadows up because they're so tiny. Then we're on to a couple of disappointments. The first one is this Back to Basics palette by Matalan. The quality is not very good, and also I didn't realise when I bought it, I should have checked, that it is not cruelty free. So that one's being destashed. And then we have the Cherry Coat palette by Morphe, and I was completely unaware of all of the drama around Morphe when I picked this up. I only bought it last year, but I've since found out, if you look on the back of the cardboard packaging for this one, that half of the product in here is not safe for using on the eyes. So for anyone who threw away that bit of cardboard, what I've done here is I've marked with an X all of the ones that are not safe to use on your eyes, so you can do a screenshot of this video and you'll have that information. So with this palette, I am going to depot the ones that you can use on the eyes, and I'm going to enjoy destroying the rest of the packaging. For the next category, I've bundled all of the rest of my eyeshadow type products together, and this first one is an absolutely beautiful product by Kiko. I do like their cream eyeshadows, and this one is just so pretty. I don't even want to use it because I don't want to spoil the effect, and it's also massive, so I don't know how long this one would even take to use up. Very, very pretty shade. Love the way it's packaged. I will use it sometime, but at the moment I'm just enjoying looking at this one. Does anyone else do that? Then I've got a number of these Maybelline Colour Tattoo. These are also eyeshadow creams, but they're a lot older in my collection, and so I need to try all of these out to see if they're still usable, because I've not reached for them in a while, and I will be destashing them if I can't use them. So I'll just quickly fast forward through all of the rest, but before I do, this one, Vintage Plum, you can see does appear to have dried out, so I expect this one will be destashed. I do really like this last one, this blue with a bit of a multi-chrome type shift in it. It's quite subtle but very pretty, so I'm hoping this one's going to be alright. Then finally I have a single Clarins eyeshadow that I took out of the packaging because it was so bulky, and stuck it into a little magnetic palette. Moving on, I have quite a lot of eyeshadow pencils and sticks. And the first one I have here is a Revlon Colour Stay. I used to use these a lot, and this is the last one that I've got left. And it is quite dry now, drags on the eyelid when you try to apply it, so this one's going to be destashed. Then I have these little pencil eyeshadows by Barry M. I have 2 of the purple and 2 of the black because I really like using these, and as you can see I have actually almost finished this purple one up. Not quite, I can just about still sharpen it, but it's not far off gone. And Barry M do have a habit of discontinuing makeup products, so I bought a backup of each of these as I realised how much I liked them. And then I have these eyeshadow sticks by Kiko. I really like these, they go on so easily, and I often use this pale one as a base for my eyeshadows instead of a primer because I find it works really well for that. So this one is completely used up and it will be destashed at the end of this video. So I have a new one of that very pale shade, I have a couple of the sort of light bronze shade and one in a green. I really like these. I would recommend anyone who likes this type of eyeshadow to give them a try. Moving on to primers, and I have one eyelid primer that I forgot to put in the video, so this one's by ELF. Not had much success with eyelid primers, or with any primers for that matter. The first one for the face I have is this weird stick one by Barry M. Don't get on with this one at all, but I'm going to persevere and try it again because I don't want to throw it away without giving it a good go. I have the Catrice Good by Pores, which I'm using at the moment, but don't really like very much, but I'll use it up. I have this one by Essence, which is probably my favourite of the bunch, particularly because it has the SPF in it. And this one's okay, but I don't think it does much to blur the pores, but it works alright underneath foundation. I also have the glitter primer by NYX, and I use this one under pressed glitter eyeshadows that otherwise won't stay put. Moving on to mascaras and eyeliner, I have 3 mascaras in my collection at the moment. These were all Christmas presents and ones that I like to use. And I have a few eyeliners by different brands. First of all, there's this liquid eyeliner by Chanel. I do like this one, but I don't wear liquid eyeliner very frequently. Then I have a couple of reasonably old ones by Clarins. All of my Clarins makeup is quite old. After having chickenpox, I developed some skin allergies, and so I used Clarins exclusively for a while. But I'm going to pop these ones out so that I can use them again and see if they're still okay. Then I have a basic black eyeliner by Rimmel. And then I have a few by Barry M, a couple of purples, a black, and a sort of champagne colour. So I think I'll be keeping all of these. Then I've put together my foundations, concealer and powder. In the Rimmel, I've got a couple of older foundations mixed together to get the right colour, including the Essence one that you see in the background there. This is pretty much used up. And now that Rimmel is cruelty free, I'll be going back to buying the Rimmel ones, but I kept it because the pump's really good. And it's good for mixing colours when you're in between foundation shades. Then my one and only concealer by Maybelline. This one has been used quite a lot, but I haven't used it recently and it's old, so this one I'm going to be destashing. Then I have a few face powders. I haven't been using them very much either. I will be keeping this one by Sasha. I think I've maybe used this one once. And similarly, the one by Barry M, which is a similar sort of thing with a loose powder, an applicator inside of it. So both of those I will be keeping. Then we have some older compact powders. These 2 by Essence are supposed to be translucent, but they're actually very white and they make me look even paler than normal. And I am very pale already. And then this used to be one that I used all of the time before I even started using foundation, but I haven't used this one in a while. It's very old and it really needs to be consigned to the rubbish bin. Then we have the face palettes. I don't have too many of these. I rarely ever use highlighter or contouring, so this is actually quite a lot of face palettes for someone who doesn't do that very often. I have the iconic Solstice palette by Sleek, and apologies for blinding you a little bit with this palette. I kept the bit of cards so that I know what each one's supposed to be used for, and I have used this one a little bit and I'll definitely be keeping it. I do like it, I just don't use it very often. Then we have the Bourjois palette with a bronzing powder and highlighter. I do quite like this one as well. The colour's good for my skin tone, so I will be holding on to this one. It's not currently out for use. Then we have this one by Catrice, which was gifted to me, and this is one that's brand new. I haven't used it yet, so I'm holding on to this one for the time being because I do like the colours in here. And finally we have the contour palette by e.l.f. This is again a good palette for my skin tone, so this is the one that I currently have out and do use if I ever do this kind of makeup. Moving on, the next thing is all my single highlighters, blushes and bronzers. I only have the one single highlighter, and this again was a gift. I've not used this one, but I will hold on to it for the time being. My only single bronzer is the Baked Bronzer by Milani in the colour Glow, and I really like this one and I do use it. It's massive, so even though I use this one quite a bit in the summer, you wouldn't know it. It looks like it's not been used at all. And then finally I have 3 single blushes, and I haven't really tried out the Trend It Up ones that were also gifted to me. I've thrown away a very old blush a little while ago, so I need to try all these and see which ones I get along with. I didn't use setting spray until quite recently. I've tried a few and I've settled on this one by NYX as my favourite. So I have the travel size one and the big one of those. Moving swiftly into lip products, I have 3 lip liners, which is not very many at all, and 2 of them are almost the same colour. I don't tend to reach for them that often. It's something that I really ought to make a little bit more of an effort with. But for the moment, these are the 3 that I have. When we come to lipsticks and lip glosses, I have a lot more, and the main reason for this is I never really know what colour's going to suit me, so I end up buying a load and then only really wearing the same shade over and over. So I do really need to make an effort to try out all of these colours and only keep the ones that I really like. So starting off with the lip glosses, I've got a number of these Hypnosis ones by Trend It Up. They look so pretty, but I really can't get on with wearing these things. They feel a bit gritty on the lips and I just don't enjoy them, so I'm going to be destashing all of these. And I have 3 liquid lipsticks. The one in the middle technically is a gloss, but it is quite pigmented, so I counted it with the lipsticks. And I have used these a bit, but I'm going to leave these out to try and finish up because liquid lipsticks do tend to go off more quickly, so I will be using them up as quickly as I can. And the rest are all bullet lipsticks. That is mostly what I tend to use. First of all, we have these ones by Maybelline. These are pretty old and ones that I used to use quite a lot, but as you can see here, this one has started to get those little raised bits on it, which I understand means that this is going off. It also smells a bit weird, so there's another clue. So I'm going to be destashing this one. And the other one seems to have done the same sort of thing. So even though these aren't the oldest of lipsticks in my collection, I don't know why they have done this. If anyone knows, let me know what happens, if there's anything I can do to prevent it. So both of those are going to be leaving my collection. Then I have 3 by Rimmel. Again, these are fairly old in my collection, but they seem to be okay. There's no odd smells, they look alright. So I will be keeping all of these, but again, because they're older, I will prioritise using them up. So as I said earlier, my Clarins makeup is all very old now. Although the outside of the packaging is starting to deteriorate a bit, the lipstick still seems to be okay. Let me know in the comments below how long you would keep a lipstick before you stopped using it. It smells fine, it seems to work alright, but I'm not even going to tell you how old this is because it's really, really old. So do let me know in the comments, is it safe for me to continue to using these products? Okay, I will tell you they are around about 20 years old, these two anyway, and the other one probably around about 16 years old. So would anyone else still use these, or would you be getting rid of them for safety reasons? Let me know because I really have no idea. Then we have a couple of these sort of random ones. One's called a lip butter, one's a lip colour. They both seem to be fine, they're both okay. I'm not particularly enthralled by either of them, but I will try and use them up. And these three were all gifted to me fairly recently, so I know that they are going to be okay. Just haven't worn them or tried them out, so I will make sure that I rotate through them and see if I want to keep them in my collection or not. This one may be a little bit too dark for me. You can see a lot of my lipsticks are actually quite similar in shade because this is the sort of shade that I tend to wear a lot. I have a few by Barry M, and these ones were bought during the pandemic when you couldn't actually try anything out, so just had to buy it and see if I liked it or not. So again, same thing applies. I need to try all these out and see if I do actually like these shades, and sort out those that I'm going to use and those that I'm not. So these velvet ones I've not really worn very much, they're the newer ones. And this one is a shade that I do really like and I have used a lot. So I did buy a backup of this one, as this one is almost gone. And finally we have this really vivid bright pink colour. I did not purchase this specifically, I think it came in a makeup kit. This one is way too bright and too blue toned for my skin tone colour, so I'm going to be giving this one away because it is unused. Then I have a few colours from Essence. I do like their lipsticks and I love some of the shades, but again, unfortunately, they don't tend to keep them in stock. They release them for a while and then change them to something else, which is, I find, very frustrating. You find a colour and you can't keep buying it, it's very annoying. But I have a few of these that I do really like and others that I still need to try out. So I'm going to fast forward through these. They will be staying in my collection. Those I know that I like obviously are going to be used up. The others I will try and see if I want to keep them. When I got to this one though, even though it's relatively new, I have noticed this one started to degrade as well. So despite it being used very little, this one is going to be disposed of. And then these three all seem to be okay. I just need to try out these colours and see if I like them. So apart from my lipsticks, which I know I need to try out and reduce the number that I have a reasonable number of eyeshadow palettes, I think. It's certainly reasonable compared to my nail polish collection. Anyway, these are the things that I've decided to declutter from my makeup collection at the moment. I hope you've enjoyed this video, a little bit outside my normal content. Don't worry, nail polish is going to be back soon. See you then.